Welcome to the Strengthen Your Immunity with Chinese Medicine webinar. And I'm recording it so I can upload it on YouTube later. And so some of you, I guess most of you that I see on the comment lines know me, know my background too, but I'll just say it, that I'm a retired acupuncturist and also a retired practitioner of classical Chinese medicine. So I practiced it for 20 years, mostly in San Francisco Bay Area in California. And at this time, I feel that some people are definitely in fear, and with somebody who has had the clinical experience and knowledge, I feel that I would like to share. I have to do my part in helping people just because I have that knowledge and experience. By the way, everyone, can you hear me well? That's important to check. Can you hear me well? Can you see me well? I would have, can somebody respond? Can you hear me well? I'm assuming that you do. If you don't, I think someone would be telling me that. So anyways, I am feeling people who are frustrated and fear and isolation. And there are things that you can do at home on your own in terms of self-care, but understanding how our body works from the point of view of Chinese medicine, I think would help you with what you can do, and hopefully that'll empower you and gives you some feeling of, yeah, there's something I can do to take care of myself. And let's see, what am I doing? Yes. And fear, it seems like fear seems to be pretty strong among a lot of people. And unfortunately, fear is something that lowers your immunity. And that's actually a good reason why for me to be doing this, I felt. Because we don't have to be in fear. And we can definitely do something to boost our immunity on our own. And so I will be mainly today talking about prevention, a little bit of like, what do you do if you feel like you might be under the weather? You might be catching something, whatever that is. That's where those two areas, mainly prevention, is where I'm going to focus on today. And okay, I'm just checking the comments once in a while. And if you have any questions as I talk about it, talk about things and questions about what I'm talking about, let me know on the comment. I can probably address it at the time. Okay. Thanks for Robbie comment this. Okay. Okay, lots of people are on here. Wow, I didn't know. I wasn't really following up on the comments now. So, what do I do? I will just share this right now. Okay, I just shared it on my own page. Anyways, so going back to the main part of this webinar. And so I'm going to explain how immunity is created in Chinese medicine point of view. And there are many things, but I'm just going to make it really simple. two things. One is related to lung function of breathing, and the other is digestion. Those two things, food and how you digest it and make it into nutrition and distribute it in your body. Those two things create your immunity. And I guess I'm gonna start talking about lungs first. And lungs is definitely a breathing organ, but in Chinese medicine, it's not just the lungs, anatomical lungs that's here, but it also controls the skin and the main part that I want, and also controls the nose and all that. Opens up to the nose, I guess that's the word that they use. But the part that I want to talk about is that it controls the skin. How? As some of you or many of you know, skin is a huge organ that encases our whole body. And on our body we have pores, hair follicles, and even if you don't have hair growing out of it necessarily, some people do have lots of hair, some people don't. Anyways, those pores on the skin all over the body, with the lungs function in Chinese medicine, I'm not necessarily talking about anatomical lung function. It opens and closes the pores according to the external temperature. And so the pores are naturally, if your Chinese medicine lung function is working well. If it's too windy or too cold outside, it's going to close the pores. So you're protecting yourself from cold invasion. And then if it's too hot outside, your body's hot, you want to release some heat too, so the pores are open. And that's a normal, or I'd say healthy state for your function of closing and opening the pores. But sometimes it doesn't work as well. And so even when it's cold outside, it can't close the pores. Then the coldness invade you, and that's not fun. You might start feeling like I'm a little chilly kind of thing. And I'm just gonna show you something. I'm pretty much low tech. Here is a drawing of, I guess it's not, you can't see it very well because I kind of drew all over it. On this green line, below this green line, there's a little bit of darker line, which is originally a black line. And it had that's like, this black line is the skin. Let's say, okay, below it is like, this is the skin surface, and the space between those lines are like the pores. And they are either open or closed. So on here, so going back to the upper one, on here, there's this thing called protective qi, which is having to do with lung function in Chinese medicine. So this protective qi is just pretty much running on the skin, over the skin, a little below the skin, kind of has that own thickness to it. And as long as this is working normally, it can close and open the pores and regulate your temperature, your bodily temperature well, so you don't usually catch cold or flu or any of those infectious stuff. And in Chinese medicine, whether it's virus or bacteria, they say it's just pathogenic qi sometimes, but mainly it's like excessive element in the nature, like it's too cold, too hot, too damp, those things, too much excess of those elements is on the skin surface, that is in the atmosphere, that is. Those things include virus or bacteria, but they call it as cold pathogen, wind pathogen, heat pathogen. So I know it's a little unfamiliar to you, but that's how Chinese medicine look at those virus or bacteria or any of those infectious stuff. And as you know, skin is like the first defense area, and in Chinese medicine this is how it'll work. And this protective qi, as long as your lung is working well, this will work fine. But I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but this, I wrote nutritive, okay, here we go, nutritive qi below it. And this nutritive qi is something that gives more sort of like nutrition, a power to protective qi too. So without this nutritive qi that is flowing below the surface of the skin, the protective qi doesn't do a really good job. It can't hold the fortress that well. And the nutritive qi comes from digestive system. So I'm going to talk about that later. But right now, the protective qi. Hold on, let me go to, yes, Wei Qi, Laura. どうやったら動画見れるか。And I don't know how to respond to that. Anyways, so protective qi. If you're tired, if you're like eating too much or not enough, or you eat too much processed food and too often, or not exercise regularly, the skin function of closing and opening the pores, they don't work as well. So it's not a very healthy state if you are regularly not exercising regularly, or not eating too much, and something to somehow mess up your digestive system or weakens it somewhat, at least. Protective qi doesn't also work well. And so when it's cold outside, you can't close the pores, so you get the cold invasion, you get the chills. After a little while, you might feel feverish or hot, if not feverish, a little bit hot. So at that point, your regulation of temperature on the skin level is not that functioning well. So it's like, okay, the virus or bacteria, whatever those external pathogen comes, just more free to come in. And that's like the beginning part of it. So that's when you're feeling like I'm under the weather, I'm not feeling that well. But maybe at that point there are a lot of things that you can do. And I'm going to talk about it. I guess it's better if I talk about the digestive system, and then I'll get to what you can do. So, digestive system. So, when you eat, of course, whatever food that you eat, your digestive system will break it down, starting with your teeth in your mouth. mechanically you do it, and then also chemically you're doing it in your mouth and goes down to your stomach. You're breaking it down even more chemically at that point. So you want to make sure that your digestive system is working well. Then what you want to do is lessen the burden on your digestive system. And the energy that you create from the digestive system is what goes out to the surface of your skin, for example, and of course to other organs and other tissues and everything. But since we're talking about immunity, prevention, and all that, so I'm just focusing on that. And just checking in on the comments. So digestive system. Yes, so some of the energy from your digestive system also runs below the skin and supports how this protective chi, the opening and closing of the pores function, it's supporting it. So those two things are really important for your immunity, mainly. And let's see, we call this digestive energy that's on the right under skin level nutritive chi, because it's the one that gives nutrition and gives more solidness to what the protective chi, the closing and opening of the pores function. It gives more base to it, gives more nutrition to that function of protective chi. So that's what those two things are really important. So I'm going to go into how you can strengthen those two functions. By the way, do you have any questions so far? If you have any questions, please comment. Anything that you're not clear about. Otherwise, I'll be just talking about what you can do. It might not make sense, but if you don't quite get it. But even if you don't understand it, you can still do things that I'm going to talk about too. It is kind of weird doing this. So I'm not getting much of questions, so I'm going to go on. I'm going to go back to, well, I'm not going to go back to, I'm going to start the digestive system since I'm already on it. Let's see. So I read this case study from Wuhan in China. This case study talked about, of course, a lot of, she was a Chinese medicine doctor in Wuhan, and she was reporting about 30 cases that she saw at the hospital from early February. And what was interesting about it that she said is that in 2019, during the summertime, I'm just going to read the excerpts of it. There's this whole 5 movements and 6 climates expert, which means this expert is all about how climate in every year and all the natural elements change affects our physical body and the earth. So how our celestial or climate kind of elemental stuff affects our body. And according to that person, 2019 is a year that is deficient in earth element. Now, in Chinese medicine, earth is related to digestive system. So earth is where the nutrition comes out of. That's where the transformation happens. and it distributes, or like in the soil, earth, where it comes out some plants, and if the earth is in good condition, it has a lot of nutrition in the earth. Whatever comes out of that earth has a very strong root system and strong plant life. In the same way for humans, when you have good digestive system, you have very strong energy. And it kind of shows on the lips of people. If you look at it, if they have very red, like not too red, but very healthy red lips and kind of thick, those people have very strong digestive system. And someone like me don't have a lot of strong digestive system. But anyways, what she was saying in the study is that because 2019 is a year of the deficiency in earth element, it is not a good year to do anything that would hurt the digestive system. In Chinese medicine, it's spleen and stomach. So during the spring of 2019, she treated lots of kids with sudden onsets of fever due to cold, and she recommended or used some of the Chinese formula that strengthens digestive system mainly, and it really worked well for them. And then in the summer of 2019, she told all of her digestive deficient patients to avoid or minimize the consumption of raw fruits and vegetables, and to avoid cold water. And it's really hard to do during the summertime, to avoid raw fruits and vegetables and avoid cold water. But they somehow tried to drink something either warm or hot, even during the summertime. And so in this winter, she learned, surprisingly, that her patients who followed her dietary guidelines were not infected with COVID-19. And she says she has about 3,600 patients, and 60% of them worked in Wuhan, and they were not infected. Well, you can't quite say that they were not infected, but at least they were asymptomatic. They didn't have symptoms. So basically what she's saying is that someone who took very good care of their digestive system last year, during the summer to winter, they're doing much better. Even if they contracted any virus, they have gotten over quickly, or they didn't get it at all. And knowing that for us it's too late, it's already spring of 2020, but what we can learn from it is that strengthening digestive system is very crucial to your immunity. I'm gonna now go into, I think that explained how taking care of the digestive system is very important, and one way, as she has already described, one way to take care of your digestive system, which we can start now, is to eat something warm and cooked. And of course, some of you are like raw vegans, and I would recommend, if you are like raw food person, I would eat something, like drink something warm, like warm water. With a little bit of ginger in it or something. A warm or hot water first before you eat anything raw. And if you eat anything raw, I would chew well, because chewing not only mechanically breaks things down, but it also, with the digestive enzymes in the saliva, it starts to break it down. And also, as you spend more time chewing in your mouth, it also warms up the food, which is less taxing in your stomach when it goes down. And stomach is cold, it has the stomach heat, and that heat is what helps aids the digestion. So you don't want to, throw in something cold into your digestive system. So I highly recommend eating something cooked and warm. And if you are a raw food person, as I said, chew well, warm it up in your mouth, and then swallow it. And also drink something warm, especially at this time. I guess depending on where you are on the globe, I think the weather may be a little bit different. But I highly recommend eating something warm cooked, and eat slowly. It's all about lessening the burden on your mid to lower digestive system, and you will absorb the nutrition out of what you eat much easier that way. If it's cooked even just a little bit than completely uncooked, even though the uncooked one has more nutrition, in terms of absorption, it absorbs much better when you cook it lightly, and sort of think of it as chewing in your mouth as part of the cooking. And okay. So Amber is asking, I'm getting this question about smoothies. I would definitely do some warm water or even hot water, especially on an empty stomach. I would start with warm water, hot water with a little bit of ginger in it. And then, yes, drink your smoothies very slowly. Digest it in your mouth first, and then swallow it into your stomach. That would help. And let's see. Yeah, I think I've covered it well in there. And also, I would like to point out some of the symptoms. If your digestive system is not working that well, you will have a symptom of fatigue, like you're not doing much. It's not like I'm working that hard, but I'm tired. Or you get very easily sleepy after you eat, or tired after you eat, or you feel cold all the time, or if not all the time, but easily get cold, or you have kind of foggy feeling in your head especially after you eat, and you have muscle weakness, those things. Even if you don't necessarily have the stomach problem or intestinal issues per se, like you have diarrhea or, of course, constipation, definitely that's also a digestive symptom. But even if it's not directly, doesn't look like it's a digestive symptom, fatigue and sleepy or tired after eating, coldness, fogginess in your head, muscle weakness, those are all symptoms of digestive weakness. So if you have that, I would pay attention to what and how you eat. And that way, you can strengthen your immunity. Also, I want to point out something about digestive tract. I wish I had prepared some picture of this, but I'm just going to explain. So digestive tract starts from your mouth from right here. But look at it this way. The skin surface, which is related to, it's controlled by lung function of opening and closing the pores thing. Now this skin surface goes into your mouth, on the internal part of the mouth, which is part of the digestive system, and through your throat and all the way down to your stomach, and then the small intestine and colon, and then out into anus, and then from the anus out to your buttocks. So it's kind of like the internal skin is exactly what this digestive tract is. So when you eat something warm, drink something warm, you feel even your skin gets warmer. And like, let's say if you take a bath, hot bath, you might notice, some of you may have noticed that after a long or warm, nice bath, wow, suddenly I'm hungry. And I've experienced that myself, and it's not me, but many people experience that. I'm sure you have that experience, and because it's kind of like you're pretty much warmed up your digestive tract too, which means you're enhancing your digestive stomach heat. I'm talking about the healthy stomach heat, and that increases your sort of metabolism, your digestion, and then you get hungry. So there's this very close relationship between your skin, outside skin surface, and internal skin surface of digestive tract. So we're sort of dealing with the same thing, lung and stomach, digestive system, external and internal part of our bodily skin. Okay. Okay, I'm just looking at the comments. Putting a little ginger slice in my coffee. Wow. Okay. So I'm getting this, I really like coffee. What about putting a little ginger slices in my coffee? I'm not sure if it tastes good. I've never tried that. I guess that's better than not. So of course you can do that if you're fine with the taste of it. Interesting. Okay, so digestive system I've talked about, how you can strengthen it. Okay, in terms of digestive system and lungs, in Chinese medicine, large intestine, which is colon, has very close relationship with lungs too. So I don't know if some of you have noticed that if you're always constipated, it might not be the case. But if sometimes you get constipated and then you sometimes realize, oh, I'm just coughing, like, I don't know why, but I'm not like severe coughing, but I don't usually cough, but I'm coughing and I'm constipated. I don't know if you have experienced this, but I have, and I've seen other people have. And because of this large intestine lung connection, when your large intestine colon is stuck, it kind of closes that, the internal pores of the colon is kind of closed in a way, and it sort of closes the lung too, lung function. So the lung is supposed to also, with your breath, it smooths the energy of the movement of the energy, and that gets disturbed. So, and that's another interesting connection that most people, if you don't know about Chinese medicine, find it very interesting. So if you do have constipation, if not chronically, even if you have chronically, I think there's something that you can do is to massage your inner thigh area. I'll show you there. Okay, so here we go. My inner thigh, I'm really opening up. So there's this muscle in your inner thigh that connects to sort of in the lower part of your abdomen, sort of. And I would like kind of deeply massage without really hurting yourself. I'm gonna do this like going deeper into. I guess it's kind of hard for you to see, but I'm just trying to show it in your inner thigh. It's usually either tender or a little tight for you if you're having constipation. So I would massage that, and also I would encourage you to walk a lot if you're having chronic or even a temporary constipation, because walking would stimulate that muscle and the meridians, energy pathways that's running in that area, and that'll stimulate your large intestine. And as your bowel movement starts to happen, you will probably notice you don't have that cough anymore, unless you have some other infection going on. That's a different story. So let's see. So I'm done with mostly with digestive system. And if you have any questions about digestive system, let me know. Okay, I see ginger is intense first thing in the morning. So you don't have to start with ginger. I would just start with any like hot water. That's good enough. And like you can add ginger to when you cook something in a soup or stir fries or whatever it is that you make. It doesn't have to be a lot, but I suggest even just a little bit, so you may probably get used to it over time, and you can increase just a little bit, but you don't have to do a lot of it either. How do you stimulate digestion with gastroparesis? Okay. What's gastroparesis? Somehow obviously your digestive system is not working is what it is. Let me find out. Shit. I have just okay. Gastroparesis. Oh, okay. Got it. A condition that affects the normal muscle movements of the stomach. Okay. So basically, I just spilled some water from my glass of water. Sorry, I need to clean them so that I can function better here. Okay. So basically, despite the name, basically I wouldn't think like very specially for that particular condition. It's just the energy in your digestive system is not working that well. So I would definitely recommend some mild exercise. I would do some qigong exercise. I think that would be very good, and I highly recommend this one. If you have local person that you can go to for qigong exercise, that would be the best. But if you don't, there's one YouTube qigong practitioner that I really like. I don't know him personally, but Shelton Qigong, 30 days of Qigong. He does a really good job. He's also an acupuncturist. He knows his stuff. So check out his channel for some of the Qigong exercises for digestive system. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna go to how to strengthen your lung function. And as I said, this lung function, I'm pretty much talking about how to strengthen this closing and opening the pores function. And this, it's not like it's open all the time or closing all the time. With our breath, it opens and closes. So if you do like breathing exercises, it also trains your opening and closing function of the lungs, first of all. And I still do recommend some Qigong exercise or any other breathing exercise that you are already doing, or if you haven't done it yet. There are many different kinds of breathing exercises that you can do. Also, in terms of, so I'll talk about what you can do as a prevention on this lung function. Is it's more of a daily practice of like just mild exercises. Aerobic exercise is good. You don't have to like sweat like as if you're drenching kind of sweat. You don't want that. You want some kind of aerobic exercise where you're just sweating just a little bit, and that'll also train your the function of opening and closing the opening and closing function of the skin. Another thing you can do is brushing or rubbing the skin. So this kind of towel, small towel you can use, and on your skin directly, you can brush and do it gently, because if you do it too hard, it can really injure your skin. Especially if you're starting for the first time, I would do it gently just for 1 minute. It's best to do it all over your body. Of course, you're naked and you're doing it, but you want to do it gently. Start with just 1 or 2 minutes. But there's an area that in Chinese medicine that is told that is said that this kind of wind or cold pathogen, those viruses, come through in certain particular area. So I'm just going to show you where it is with this diagram, this picture. There you go. So it has this Japanese prints, but basically, it doesn't have to be very exact like this. But I have to show it to YouTube first. It doesn't have to be the exact spot, but it's basically that spot, like from the bottom of your neck to your upper back area between your shoulder blades. This is the area where, when you're fighting off cold, I've seen from my clinical experience, the people who are fighting off cold or have cold or just under the weather, I'm not sure, I might be catching one kind of people, they have their skin pores open. That is, if you touch that area, it's slightly moist, very slightly. If you compare it to other parts of the body, it's a little bit moist, which means that the pores are open and they're not able to close it properly. And that's why they're sweating very, very mildly, But when you're sweating like that and open, the pores are open, that means you're just saying, yeah, come on in to the pathogens. So to help them close the this area is important. So instead of rubbing is one way to do it, but much more gentler way to do it is to just cover yourself from like it's like within, almost in the hair. It's around the hairline, but it's with a little bit within the hairline, and it's like, I'll show you with my neck. I hope you can see. Right behind your ear, there's this bump of a bone. So right after the bone, there's this dent, and on the other side too. So from this area and down to your upper back area, up to around here is the area that is very susceptible for external invasion of those wind or cold, we call pathogenic influence. And interestingly, the names of those points that I have shown earlier, those one in the middle and two bilaterally, so there are 5 points, but basically it's 3 points. They all have, in Chinese names, it has the name wind in the name of the point. It is like wind, the one behind your ears is called wind pond. And then right in the middle is wind palace. And the one in the upper back is called wind gate. So, of course, from the wind gate is where the pathogens comes in. And that's where you want to protect yourself. So you can either wear something, cover your neck and upper back with some clothing of some kind, a shawl or whatever it is that you have. You could use this like so. I guess you need something a little bit larger or wider. But if you are already feeling like, okay, this area feels cold to me, I recommend, those hand warmers, disposable hand warmers. Doesn't have to be disposable. There are reusable ones too, that I've seen on Amazon, by the way. But you get the idea. You want to warm this area that I've shown you. And when I'm having that, not just warm it for a short time. I would, when I go to sleep, I would definitely cover myself there, or using those hand warmer, or if you have a hot water bottle, I would have that right on there and sleep over it. So that's another thing you can do. And okay, I've covered the breathing exercise. Another thing, if you're starting to catch something, it might sound a little weird, but you don't want to take a shower or take a bath. You can definitely use hot water and put the small towel in there, squeeze it out, the water, and just wipe yourself. Because what most people who take shower during the time that they have cold or flu, even when they're even getting better, it just comes back, it relapses. The reason why is because hot shower or taking a hot bath tends to it's a lot of heat. So when there's a lot of heat coming into you, your body wants to release the heat because there's too much heat. But because your function of your closing and opening the pores is not that great, what happens is, okay, it opened the pores, but it doesn't close. So you're inviting in more pathogens, and you're really open to external influence. So you don't want to do that. And obviously, you would want to stay indoors and rest well, all that. And yeah, definitely protect your skin surface. It's very important, especially at night. At night, the protective chi goes deeper inside. During the daytime, the protective chi is more close to the surface on the skin, but at night, they go inside, which means you feel colder on the skin level. So you need to be warmer. You need to cover yourself more because of that. So I've covered what I really wanted to do. And one last thing I want to discuss is some people ask me, what about maybe I should start some antiviral herbs. And I don't recommend that unless you're already having some symptoms. If you're just trying to take care of yourself and for the purpose of prevention, you want to focus on strengthening your digestive system and your lung function of opening and closing the pores. Because most of the antiviral herbs, what's called antiviral herbs, pretty cold in nature. And if you don't have symptoms and take those, it can damage your digestive system, which is totally counterproductive to your purpose. So I wouldn't do that. So I'm not really talking about what kind of herbs is good for you to take, kind of things. I just mentioned a little bit of ginger. There's a formula, a famous formula in Chinese medicine that is used for prevention of any infectious diseases. And it's called Yu Pin Fen Sun. And usually it's translated as jade screen powder, jade wind screen powder. Depending on the brand that you go, they have a little bit of different names, but it's just it's made up of 3 different herbs. Astragalus. See, I'm not used to using those Latin names. I learned them all in Chinese. Anyways, astragalus is it strengthens your digestive system, strengthens your yang energy, and it strengthens your protective energy and stabilizes the exterior, which means the skin surface. And atractylodes, which is also strengthens your digestive system and energy, stabilizes the exterior, which is the skin surface, and stops sweating, because too much sweating or even a mild sweating without any exertion of any kind is a sign that you are starting to contract something, or you're just susceptible to contract some things. Another herb in the formula is saposhnikovia. It's an herb that is usually used for release the exterior and expel the external wind. So with those 3 things, as you can see, it pretty much strengthens the lung energy function and the digestive system. So this is the most famous and the most often used formula. And I think it's probably available if you're interested online. online shops or even from a local place somewhere. Bump behind the ear. I'm just... So if you have any questions, let me know. One on the right seems like... Okay. So Deborah, I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, it's not the structural thing about the wind pond place. So I'm gonna, it's more of the surface level function, even though if you have been really damaged somehow externally, it might have to do with your skin function in that area as well. But if that's not the case, I feel it's really hard to tell you because I'm not really seeing you there right here. I'd say it's probably best to see an acupuncturist or herbalist locally. It's hard to say beyond that in this setting. So I'm going to write down the names of this formula. Yupin Fun Sun. It's called Jade Screen Powder. So instead of writing down the names of the actual herbs in it, just look up Google Yupin Fun Sun or Jade Screen Powder. It'll give you the names of the herbs in it. It's probably much easier for you too. Okay, I think that's pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover. Also, one more thing, this is not Chinese medicine, but I'm gonna say this because I learned it recently and it seemed to be working really well for me. And I hear that it works for many people. It's an essential oil of lavender. And you take it sublingually, just one drop. But because so many people are in fear or just thinking too much, have a hard time sleeping and have a hard time calming down, I recommend this easy remedy that you can use. Is this, you can have 1 teaspoonful or even less of a coconut oil, olive oil, anything edible oil, and you put a drop of organic lavender oil on it, and then you put it in under your tongue, and then instead of drinking it, you breathe in from your mouth, and sort of it activates that oil under your tongue, and then so you breathe in, and then breathe out from your nose. And you do that like a minute or two. It really calms you down. So if you're having some mind going too much and can't stop and can't calm down, this is a great remedy. Well, if you have any more questions, let me know. And so I pretty much talked about Chinese medicine, but of course there are many people who know other different kinds of remedies. Somebody suggested that I do this, which I think is a good idea, so I will. So I make this chaga mushroom extract, which is a medicinal mushroom, and it's really good for strengthening immunity. So if you're interested, I make them, and you can either purchase it from me or you can get it locally. I'll give you my email address if you need to contact me for that. I'm gonna also say this. This is a completely free webinar, but if you liked it, I am open also to donations too. So you can either, if you want to, you can either PayPal me to that email address or use a messenger on Facebook to give me a donation. And thank you. If